What's up, everyone? Welcome to Chicks and Salsa. I am Megan Price. Next to me, I got Jen Matthews Lewis, and below me, we got Candy Eveling. How's everybody doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm having a great week, as we all know.
You have big news.
Yay!
Wait a minute. Let's start with your big
Yes,
news.
let's start with your
Okay.
amazing news. Or do we want that through the happy
We could,
story?
I was about to say we could save that for the happy story.
We
Yeah.
could. We'll leave a cliffhanger. Everybody's got to stay tuned till the end to find out what Megan's big news is.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. There are some people that already know. Obviously, I posted it on Facebook, so no big deal. But we have had a lot going on in the NFL world. If you thought free agency was huge in some of the other sports this year, I think NFL took the cake. There was a lot of movement in the WNBA. There's been some other movement in the NBA and their free agency as well, but not as big as the NFL this season. So, Jen, why don't you start us off and let's talk a little bit about free agency.
So the free agency is off the records right now. I know the Panthers, everybody know, I think everybody thought I was going to be really upset about Brian Burns leaving. Not, I'm just upset we didn't get a first round draft pick. Brian didn't want to be here anymore. The way I look at it as Dan Morgan actually played with Julius Peppers the first time Julius was drafted in Carolina. And Julius wanted to leave. He needed to leave. He went to Candy's team. He went to the Bears also. And he had to grow as a person and as a player. Then he wanted to come home. So, yeah, maybe Burns will come back home one day. Who knows? But Burns is getting those Benjamins, and God for him. But we don't need people to want to be here. The one that bothered me the most was Frankie Luvo. I am, however, really stoked because we did just get Frankie's replacement, and his stats were actually better. So I'll take it with Jules, and then but Luvo did sign with the Commanders, which kind of surprised me a little bit. But we also have Robert Hurt coming to Carolina. So yay, the Panthers finally have a freaking O-line and will protect Bryce. So yay with Robert and Taylor. They're good there. Candy's had some big motions too of the Commanders. I've forgotten all of it. Let me try to do more of it. The Cowboys. And aren't you proud of me for not insulting them, Megan? Because I really almost did.
Look, our free agency is already an insult. So, I mean, what else? What else can be said for the Cowboys? All we've really done is re-sign our long snapper, which I mean, special teams and kickers are very important. So I'm always glad to sew that up because as we know, that plays a huge role in the game. So. Happy for that. We have not done anything else. All we've done is lose. It would be nice if we would lose Michael Gallup in the process of that. He is taking up a huge chunk of our salary cap, and we don't want him anymore, and he doesn't produce anymore. So it just is what it is. I think I wasn't really happy when we gave him his extension in the first place and traded away Amari Cooper. And then Amari Cooper goes to Cleveland and balls out. It's painful to watch as a Cowboys fan, but good for him to have success outside of the Dallas Cowboys. So we don't have a running back right now. We don't have a one or a two. That's where we're at. We're hoping we draft well, but we have not great draft picks. So I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting. Thank you. And then some big news with Candy's team. This was this was pretty shocking. That one surprised me. I'm not gonna lie.
Which one?
Jones.
Okay. Yes. So if you've been following David Bakhtiari, he is now a free agent. He's played, I think, 13 games in the last 3 years. Like, he was on the offensive line. He was a big guy, but he was very injury prone. Mm-hmm. Yes, we lost Aaron Jones. We released him. I should say we released him. Now he's been injury prone too. The thing that worries me about releasing him is he was a big, how should I put it? He gelled with the team and really, I think he took, once Aaron left, I think he really what glued that team together. And he was a fan favorite because his personality,
Right.
But in the same breath, he also wanted how much money. And yes, everyone's saying, oh, he signed, if you don't know, to one of our NFC opponents, the Minnesota Vikings, for $7 million.
Right.
But in his place, we got Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs
that was the biggest shock to me, because I thought Vegas was going to re-sign him, or I thought possibly the Cowboys were going to make a play for him, and he went up. Nobody was thinking Green Bay.
So we got a younger, less injury prone running back, which, let's face it, the NFL is a business. And I think that's one of the things especially the fans, forget. They think these players sign with one team and then they're going to play with the team for forever. And sometimes that happens, but sometimes it's not, because sometimes they have to look at the chemistry. They have to look at the mix, what they can afford and what they can't afford. What GM pay for what players and what positions deem, I hate to say this, but deem relevant for taking up salary cap. Because let's face it, there is a salary cap. And so
and I understand that. I went on a little bit of a rant on the Sports Arena free agency special that we did on Friday, and it was specifically about the Saquon and New York situation. I felt like he really wanted to stay in New York, like he wanted to be that franchise guy that he has been already for you guys. He 70% of the time the offense is going through him, and instead of paying him, they paid Daniel Jones last season, and then they franchise tag Saquon, and they let him walk. And which we don't know at this point if that was his decision to walk or if that was New York. I mean, we're not going to know. He did sign with their within the division, so I feel like that's a big, yeah.
New York didn't even try to initiate contract talks with him. From everything I read.
That's insane to me. Now I realize that there is a business aspect to it, and I get that. Like, there's a lot of times it's more of a business move than a loyalty move. But then teams like Philly being loyal to Jason Kelce, that does not happen. It's not the norm anymore. The Dallas Cowboys and Zach Martin, like we paid Zach Martin his extension going into this season, and it took some work. It wasn't an easy thing. He missed part of camp, and then he signed a player-friendly extension this past weekend. So, I felt like it was a good example of give and take on both sides as far as the team and the player. And I wish that was more the norm. I just kind of miss that loyalty within, not only the players, because we talk about them moving around a lot, but when are these teams going to be loyal to their players as well? And with Saquon specifically, he's 27, right? And so that seems to be that magic number when it comes to running backs. It seems to be the number where they start to age and show wear on the tires, because like New York did, they drove him into the dirt. Like Dallas did with Zeke. We just, drove all the tread off the tires on those running backs. And then they're not any good, or they start to fall off at age 27. But I don't think that's the case with Saquon, because Saquon has been injured. So he doesn't have the same amount of wear and tear on his body because he wasn't in the games at part of that time. So him going to Philly does not bother me at all. Would I have loved to have seen him in Dallas? Of course, but he'd be driving past the stadium in Jersey on his way to Philly. Like, he doesn't even have to move. He doesn't even have to move.
So I will say, I'm gonna plug, and excuse me for doing this, but I'm gonna plug Tuesday nights Inside the Pigskin. I want to say last week or 2 weeks ago, Melfar Jr. is one of the co-hosts of that show on South Florida Tribune's YouTube channel. And he talked about the importance of running back, because that's what he was. He was a running back. And so he talked about the importance and how he feels that running backs have been very disrespected over the last couple of years, because they touch the ball so much. Like, if you think about it, a wide receiver touches the ball how many times? But yet a running back, constantly, they could be catching the ball, they're running with the ball, they're touching the ball so much, and how their salaries have not kept up with some of these wide receivers and some of these other players.
Right. And I think where we saw it fall off was with Zeke's contract, because we paid Zeke and it looked like production fell off. When in reality, what happened was he got a coach that doesn't know how to run the ball. Mike McCarthy McCarthy, the bane of my existence. And so I think it was a mixture of we ran him into the dirt before Mike got there because we didn't have any game plan other than Dak get it to Zeke, and because Kellen Moore and then our other offensive coordinators as well, that was their game plan. But then when we got Mike, and Mike, as we know, is a pass happy head coach as far as that's his offense. He passes. He's he had Aaron Rodgers for God's sake.
Right.
You know what I mean? So of course he threw the ball, but Dallas, that's their bread and butter is those types of backs. And so when we lost Zeke, I think that hurt us so much. TP didn't put up the numbers that he put up the year before that because it was a 2-back system. They bounced off each other. And as we know, that seems to be the most successful running back systems. And the rush. And so I feel like, yes, that's the most successful, but that means that you're going to share carries. That means that you're going to share touches. That means that you're going to share stats with somebody, which means you get less pay.
And what I don't know if y'all saw the Twitter exchange, or I'm sorry, X exchange between Tiki and Saquon. But Tiki
I think Tiki's out of line, man.
Oh, 100%. You're dead to me. 100%. Dude, quit trying to get clickbaits.
All right, bro.
Okay. All right, you're retired.
Right.
Go
Go
hang with your wife and your kids, okay? Please and thank you. Go film Real Housewives of New Jersey, whatever. But, yeah.
I mean, like I said, the organization had a chance to pay him.
They did?
Who do we feel like has done the best in this free agency, and why is it probably Philadelphia? I mean, Washington too.
Washington has, yeah.
I think any team. I think there's several teams that have done really good. I think the Panthers have actually really done good. To be honest with you, we're getting the O-line. We're getting rid of the players that don't want to be there. And
I mean, and you have to do that because you don't have a first-round draft pick.
Exactly.
Carolina and Cleveland both don't have first-round draft picks. So Houston, as amazing as they've done in their free agency and as amazing as they've done in this past season, they also now have multiple first-round draft picks because thank you, Cleveland. And as much as you want to leave out that aspect of things of free agency, draft is an integral part of that as well, because if you can go get somebody on a rookie contract and still kind of sew up the pieces that you're missing out on or the ones that you're not willing to pay on. I know Dallas is looking at Brooks, the running back from Texas. And I mean, I would love that, but I don't know if he's going to be available at the 24th pick, which is where we're at. So I don't know.
All of our you had a decent season last year, Megan.
For what though? For what?
Well, how do you guys feel about the Ravens getting Derrick Henry and adding to their running back?
Insane. It's insane. They're going to be so good.
They have such a rivalry. Oh, yeah, you're right, Walter. And hey, Walter.
Hey, Walter.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, no, I do think Houston and both Baltimore have had good free agencies as well. So, Baltimore's going to be insanely good. But does that mean it's put up or shut up time when it comes to Lamar?
Yes. And do I think Lamar can do it?
I think he can.
Lamar has to trust his team.
So, speaking of put up or shut up, what do we think is going to happen with Dak and Dallas? That's our only free agent. That's our only signing, re-signing Dak.
I think Dak will stay. I don't think he's gonna get the huge payday he got before.
Well, no. And as a fan, I don't want him to. I want him to do a team-friendly deal. He got his money in the last deal, and I'm not mad about the money that he got in the last deal. He always strung him along. We tagged him for 2 seasons, strung him along, and then he got injured. And really, the only thing that we could do, we know. No matter what you think about Jerry, he is a loyal guy. I mean, he sticks it out with his quarterbacks.
Chances.
He does really give people chances. And so I think that he's 100% behind Dak, and that's cool. That's clearly the only reason that we have Mike McCarthy. It's also clearly the reason Dan Quinn is not there anymore, because he was promised that the job was going to be his, and they didn't decide to move on from Mike McCarthy. And then so Dan was like, all right, well, I'm headed to the division rival.
You didn't want Dan. I watched him. You didn't want Dan as your head coach. You would have been missing Mike.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think about Mike, but I am happy with who we picked up as our DC. So I think Mike Zimmer is kind of an old school guy, and I hope that he can improve on the rush defense. That is something that we've been lacking on for a very long time. Like, so the season before last, we were bad, 25th maybe in the rush defense, and then this year we were like 18th or 19th, and then the Niners were right behind us as well. So to be able to stop the run, I think is vitally important, and Mike Zimmer is probably the guy for that. So hopefully he slides Michael Parsons back over to middle linebacker. Clearly, he's too small to be a defensive end.
Right. And I think I'm still shocked. I don't know about y'all, that Belichick doesn't have a job. And Steve Wilkes.
I am very shocked that that Belichick does not have a job.
Yeah.
I'm not as shocked. I mean, he wanted
Really?
He wants both. He wanted everything. He wanted the world. He wanted to be GM.
He came out and said that he was willing to give up payroll decisions.
Well, yeah, but that's only a little bit. That's not all of it. You know what I mean? And I don't know.
Okay.
But
I guess I wasn't
when
surprised. He's not young either, though.
He's not.
I mean,
no.
Right.
So,
but when is the last time the Patriots had a cap issue?
Well, that's the thing. That's what made Brady so great. He constantly took pay cuts and spread the money around, and it was a mentality that New England has had for a very long time, and probably part of the reason why he's not there right now, because it's something that's hard for younger players to buy into. Because I mean, and no shot to them, because if that's what's important to them, the pay, then it is, because it is a business and their money's being made off of them in the process of that. So it's not a knock to them, but that mentality of spreading the money around so that you can get more talent is a dying way of doing things. Honestly, we see how it's affecting Greg Popovich right now.
Right.
Those types of coaches are getting, they're starting to move on from.
What shocked me the most was actually your other team that you cover, Candy. Taking that loser? What the Hades, girl? I am not a Mac Jones fan. I will never be a Mac Jones fan. I'm a Trevor Lawrence fan. Go Trevor. But
I love Sunshine. I don't think they're moving on from Sunshine.
They're not moving on.
No, they're not. He's a
QB2. That's a QB2.
Right.
Yeah. He's back.
That's someone to help propel him, though.
Sucks.
That's someone to propel Trevor, I think, though. Give him competition and, help push him. I think maybe that's what they need. And
Trevor's stats blew Max out of the water. Mac had more interceptions than he had touchdown passes.
That is true.
Well, maybe they're bringing him in to help the defense get better then.
All right.
I like the shade.
A couple of other questionable moves. Sam Darnold to the Vikings. All right.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, that guy has been through quarterback hell, and he has yet to have.
He's not good. He's not good. He's not good.
He's not good, but he's not that bad. His first 4 or 5 years were in with the Jets, and we all know the Jets are quarterback purgatory.
Okay, I get that, but then he went there with y'all. I mean, he did,
and we were quarterback purgatory too.
Right at the time, you're right. I don't know. I'm not sold on the guy. Marcus Mariota to the Commanders. So they're going to be rolling with Hal as their starter. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Mariota as their backup. And then another questionable one, because it comes from some haterism. Jameis Winston to the Cleveland Browns as the QB2, because Deshaun Watson, soft ass, did not want Joe Flacco as the backup, because clearly he's still got some gas in the tank.
I mean, Joe Flacco did great till the playoffs. He got him to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Look, that man was he the third or the fourth
quarterback?
They had that fourth.
You would want Mac Jones on the Dallas Cowboys.
Stop it.
Now you know better. I'm calling you after this show.
We do
want a video call.
We do need Dak to take a team-friendly deal. I don't know if that happens, but I'm not taking Mac Jones. Why would we take Mac Jones?
Jerry has enough contacts that like he could even do what and like help get some of the players sponsors.
Right.
And sponsorship money. I mean, that's where your real money is. Your real money isn't playing football because you don't know how long you're going to be playing. You get injured, you have an injury clause and X amount of money. But if you're so young in your career, that money isn't much.
So where's Chase Young going?
Panthers.
It's one of them that he visited.
Because let's discuss Carrie's selfishness. Carrie, I know you're watching. Give me Snead. That's all I'm saying. I don't ask you for much.
Well, and funny. Jen, as you're talking, I have to break this because as you're talking about NFL players and what they might be doing next, there has been talk that U.S. presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. approached Aaron Rodgers about serving as his running mate, and the New York Jets quarterback is open to the idea.
Will he ask for the false up because Aaron wants to play football for the next 4 years too?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's face it. Aaron's tried different things. He tried Jeopardy. Now he's trying to throw his, hat in the ring for backup presidential candidate.
Look, as long as he keeps his toes covered and off the camera, I'm fine with whatever it is. I just don't ever want to look at his turf toe ever again in life.
Fair enough.
Well, all right, so some key that Robert, he doesn't want to be president.
Right, yeah. So some key players that are still out there on the market. We got Calvin Ridley still available. Most recent team was the Jaguars. Tyron Smith, offensive tackle for the Cowboys. He's still out there, but he's only on the field half the time. Justin Simmons from the Broncos at safety. Chase Young, edge rushers for the Niners. Josh Reynolds, a wide receiver for the Lions. Clowney, edge rusher from the Ravens, and then Duggar, a safety from the Patriots. The Patriots have placed the transition tag on Duggar, so that means that they still put a franchise tag on him, but they allowed him to pursue free agency. Okay. And then DJ Reader, defensive tackle from the Bengals, Kevin Zettler, guard from the Ravens, and then DJ Wananum from the Vikings.
And Joe Mixon today
went to the Texans. He went to the Texans. He was
traded. He went straight to the Texans. Okay, I didn't see that update.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then who's the other?
DeAndre Swift to the Chicago Bears. Tony Pollard to the Titans. The Titans had a couple of moves. That was surprising.
Yeah.
They still don't have a.
The Colts had some moves today.
The Steelers are trading Deontay Johnson to you guys. The Panthers, Jen.
Oh, I got excited for a second.
As long as I don't get Russell Wilson, we're good.
And then, yes, they did get Russell Wilson in the trade. And they got him for the vet minimum, $1.2 million, while the Broncos still have to pay him $38 million to play in somebody else's jersey.
Right.
It is only a 1-year deal, so no telling what's going to happen there in Pittsburgh. Whether I assume that Russ is your starter. I would think. I don't know. I've seen some fans saying that Kenny is the starters. I don't know.
All right, Megan. This is your fellow Cowboys fan. Contract-wise, Dak is overrated. We can't even sign Los Pollard. He
wouldn't have been overrated if they would have given him the amount of years in the first contract negotiation that he wanted. It wasn't money. Money wasn't the problem. It was the years. He wanted 4 years instead of 6. That way, if it didn't work out in Dallas, he could move on to a different team and still be young enough to have a chance to win a ring. And I can't blame the man for that. And then we
No.
strung him along for 2 years, and then he got injured, and then his contract isn't as good, and he wasn't overrated before that. His reaction time is not the same anymore since his bone came out of his leg. He's not mobile anymore, or he doesn't have the same ability or reaction times anymore because he's nervous because he broke his leg and his bone came out of his skin. He's not the same.
And all that happened right after his brother committed suicide too.
Correct.
Like, I mean,
but I'm saying like
Dak has been
actual.
through a lot in the last couple of years.
He absolutely has. So, is his contract overrated? It was, but we could have paid him before that, and he would have been at the time of his injury. He would have been halfway through his contract then, and we wouldn't have been stuck with that contract if we would have just paid him in the first round of negotiations. So instead, we strung him along, and we got what we got. We're in contract hell, but we're not only in contract hell with Dak. We're in contract hell with like a good portion of the roster because Jerry always overpays. It's who he is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, I'm sad that TP is gone. That sucks. Like I said, we don't have an RB1. We don't have an RB2. I don't know what we got going on. Hopefully there's a decent running back available at the end of the draft.
Okay,
so.
I am losing my mind here, guys. Ladies, I am splanking. I know this name. I'm going to be so mad at myself. I will kick myself in the shin. But which Bengals player was franchise tagged and just got released? Or was asked for to
Are you talking about
explore other options? Who?
Higgins? Are you talking about Higgins? Is that right?
Yes, thank you. T. Thank you. I'll kick myself in the shin now. I want him. Everybody wants T, and I'm well aware of it.
I say we all want him, baby. All right. I'm gonna run through a little bit of women's NCAA women's basketball real quick. So for the big tournaments, we had Notre Dame won the ACC versus their championship versus NC State. It was an awesome game. If you didn't get a chance to watch any of the games on Sunday, all of them were live. Every last one of them. USC ended up beating Stanford in the Pac-12 tournament, the very last Pac-12 tournament. And that was kind of a shocker there, but I'm a huge Juju fan. Juju actually didn't have the best game. It was her teammates that really rallied behind her and picked up the slack. And it was an awesome performance by USC. I still expect Stanford to do really well in the tournament. Cameron Brink, she did declare for the WNBA draft today. She thanked the Stanford Nation. She had the option to come back and play for her fifth-year senior, and she went ahead and declared. So it's looking like I expect her to go number 2 in the draft. Personally, I like somebody who plays defense, and so for me, Cam is player of the year. It, of course, will go to CC, but just a preference on play that I prefer to watch, Cam is my player of the year. If we want to get all the way biased, my player of the year is Madison Booker at UT. So, and they are playing for the Big 12 championship tonight. They will be playing Iowa State. Iowa State did the Lord's work and knocked off OU. Thank you. That rivalry game is so hard for us, whether it's in Austin or.
I thought you were an OU fan based on your nickname in one of our group chats, Megan.
Sure. That it is explicit, so we'll leave it alone.
That's why I said it that way about
them. Iowa's game versus Nebraska was one of the best games that I've seen in a really long time. It went to overtime. Nebraska ran out of gas. And something that I forgot was Nebraska beat Iowa during the regular season. So that was a matchup waiting to happen. And it gave everything that we could have hoped for. The SEC matchup had drama. If they were not a bona fide rivalry before, they are absolutely a rivalry now. I don't want to call it a brawl. To me, it was more of a scuffle. There were no punches thrown. I would have liked to have seen a little more action from the refs from the very beginning, because it was absolutely a chippy game from the moment it started, and the refs allowed it. And so I think that that's what happened in that game, and it just got too far. I felt like Dawn handled it with such class, what she had to say about it, and her team has handled it with class as well afterwards. You can't say the same thing for Kim Mulkey, in my opinion, and the things that she had to say. I don't think that she's ever been the type to really discipline her players or keep a type ship like that. And I'm not surprised by her response whatsoever. I did see Four, which is Flo J, and Dawn talking after the game. So, I feel like amends were made. But that rivalry, that clash, that's going to be there for sure. And I'm super excited for the tournament. Now, we won't see Camila Cardoso for the first round of the tournament. I kind of feel like Four should have been ejected and suspended for that game as well because of her role in starting the scuffle.
Yeah. And then, I mean, honestly, like, I personally, and I'll stand by this, I love that one of the players' brothers went out there because I think he just went into protection mode. Like, I don't think he was trying to walk up on any of the ladies per se, like to hit. I think I mean, obviously he was arrested, handcuffed, and escorted off the floor.
It looked really bad. So that's all I can say. It looked really bad, so he ended up getting arrested. So
did he? And I didn't watch any of it.
If he was at a professional game, if he was at a professional game, he would have been arrested there.
Really?
Too. So yes, because you don't get on the court during professional.
It's okay, JJ. I love you. We're gonna have our disagreements. It's okay. I'm gonna stand by my thing. Just because I know that, like, if my brother saw me, like, in a fight, he would do what he could do to get me out of harm's way. Does that make sense? Sure. But I also understand that she had other girls around her to protect her, too. So,
I'm not going to do it.
No trade calls and attack laws. Never won with Dak. I mean, I get it, but Paul, I'll say this, and gosh, I'm mad at you for making me defend the Cowboys. But when you have your brother literally kill himself, 2 weeks before the season starts?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I mean, and I think that he had really good progression before the injury, and we got forced into that contract because we drug our feet so long on it. And his efficiency then was amazing. And he's just not the same anymore. Like I said, his reaction times are not the same. His mobility is not the same, and it's never going to be the same. So we have to take, but we got to sew up our run game to be able to balance out what he's not going to be able to do in the pass game. Let's just be realistic. He's not the same anymore.
Yeah.
Hopefully he takes a team-friendly deal, and then we'll be happy.
And, I don't disagree. Jerry has strung him along. I mean, I've been there where quarterback was strung along too, and it just sucks. It sucks for the fans. It sucks for the player. And that's a mental mind F, honestly.
And honestly, how many other quarterbacks? How many other quarterbacks are out there that you'd want instead of him, though? Too, always
because he's sitting.
Come out and say that I don't like this guy. I don't like this guy. But who's that much better that's out there that's available that would fit in your scheme and all that too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
And also with the fact of where we are in the draft too, because it's not like we can go. We don't have a top 10 pick right now. We're number 24. So what are we going to do? You know what I mean?
Right.
Dak is not a top 10 guy. I'm not saying like he's that guy. He's not in the top 10 of QBs, but he's a little bit lower than that, maybe 12, 13. And that's better than average. And who out there is better than him that's available?
Right.
So I feel like you bring up a really good point, Candy. Like,
that's a very good point.
Better than him. And I would hate to match up.
We got Sam Darnold when we tried to improve on Cam.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So I guess we will. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on, Jen, before I get to the good story?
Okay, 2 things. One, if you guys aren't aware, wearing my Carolina Go Heels t-shirt. I used to be I'm a recovering Duke fan. But everybody knows Duke is the New Jersey private school station down here. However, during that game, in our group chat, and we touched on this a couple of weeks ago, and I still stand by this, storming the courts, not a good call. Because like our photographers, like Candy, could get horribly injured. We've seen it in professional sports. We've seen it in basketballs. We've seen it in high school ball too. So we don't need a storm courts, people. But Kyle,
Right.
you started this whole talk about storming the court because a Wake Forest a fan tripped you. Then you go and you trip Harrison Ingram and you attempted to trip Armando Bacot. No, sir. No, sir. Your coach is trying to change the culture at Duke. You need to stop it and shut up and listen to Coach Shire, because that man actually has a lot more integrity than the previous coach did. Just saying. Anyway.
Wow, and the UConn Syracuse game last night went to 6 overtimes. Oh no, it was 15 years ago today. Yeah, today. It was 15 years ago today.
And then, so basically right now the game is Boston College versus Miami. I'm going to go with BC just because of my familial patronage of Boston College. Today, NC State beat the Cardinals, Louisville Cardinals. Notre Dame beat Georgia Tech. So here we are, and let's go Boston, BC, baby. Okay, and then, yeah, I'm done. Now, our happy story.
Yay.
Right. So just some personal news. We'll be working for the production team for our local AA team, which is the AA affiliate for the Diamondbacks, the Amarillo Sod Poodles. So this is my first time actually being employed by a team, not just being media and covering the team, like they're signing the paychecks. It is a relief financially, but it's also a relief that it's in my field, because I was going up there to apply for bartender because I needed some extra cash, and it was filled. And I was like, well, I'll circle production because I kind of do that a little bit now. I don't have a ton of experience at it, so it's just a huge opportunity, and I'm so thankful.
We're so proud of you.
And so proud for you. And we do want to just say that we do miss you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're really proud of you. Again, you worked hard for us.
Sometimes, life is bigger than a podcast about sports. So we're thinking about you, Carrie, and we will see you next week.
Exactly.
So I think that does it for us tonight. We thank you, everybody that shared the show, commented, whether we had agrees that we disagree about or we agree about. We appreciate everybody chiming in, and we will see y'all back next week.
Thanks.
See you later. Talk to you later, Peter.